What is going on, guys? I need to be a little bit quiet because Aspen is down right now for the count, but I have something very exciting to share with everybody. So I received my first ever card submitted to PSA. Now this was done with some help of some friends of mine locally who helped me submit to PSA and CGC, starting off with just this one card because we thought it was pretty important. I think this card has had more hype and more FOMO than any other card in Sword and Shield, and I am also guilty of FOMOing for this card. So here we have the legend, the one card from Evolving Skies that everybody is chased after, that people are probably still chasing after, and I unfortunately was never able to pull this card. Now I do have about 11 or 12 Evolving Skies booster boxes sealed, so who knows, maybe someday I could crack one of those. And I have a lot of sleeved packs as well, and an ETB as well, which I'm really tempted to open because you never know. But I did end up purchasing this card for around $550, and it was $95 to get it graded, so we're in it about $645-ish, I think. Anyways, I present to you my Umbreon in a PSA 10. Now I know a lot of people have already got this card graded in a 10, and it has a huge population in a 10, but it's still an absolutely beautiful card to see in a 10. And I'm very, very happy to have this. Is the first card I've ever submitted, or that's been submitted for me. I'm really, really happy with the turnout on this card. And we get that sleeve off, show the card. Honestly, the texture on this card is next level. Very reminiscent of what they have going on the Japanese cards. A lot of beauty in this card. Honestly, I don't know why, but this card almost looks better in a PSA slab, or any slab in that case, right? I just think that this card displays incredibly nice. So yeah, this was my recent return, and I was super stoked when I got the news on it. My buddy that submitted this card for me also submitted a card that I want you guys to look at. Now I ended up purchasing that card that he submitted and another, even though I really wasn't going to purchase anything before Collecticon. I'm trying to save my money, become a more patient collector, and just make smarter investments and smarter moves overall. But along with this card, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in this case right here. Put it back in the little team bag. Beautiful. Along with this card, which, you know, this card is honestly incredible. I don't know if this card really is 10 worthy. I don't know if the centering is perfect on this card. It's pretty perfect. But before we go into the next card, because this is a pretty big deal for me, the card's value has gone now from 645 with the cost of the card, secondary market price, buying raw, which was a huge risk, I might add, plus the $95 grading cost, to now being an $1,100 card or a $1,000 card, or let's just say $800 card. But either way, I think this card is going to appreciate still. There's tons of them out there, but yeah, pretty much perfect centering on the back. And then the front, I'm not exactly sure if the centering is perfect, but from the little bit of border that we can see here, it looks pretty perfect. Harder to tell on this card, but really happy to have this one graded. Such a big card during that era, and I'm just glad to have it finally crossed off. It's beautiful. I mean, the colors, the purple, the green, the blue, it's beautiful. Now, do I think this card is a little bit overhyped? Absolutely. I think even the fact that I paid $500 for this card is ridiculous. I think this card is, a $300 card max. I really don't understand the crazy hype pricing around this card. But that's also a reason why Evolving Skies boxes are insanely expensive. So this was the card that my friend submitted that did not get a 10. I'm honestly shocked this card didn't get a 10. It could have had better centering. but you know, really marginal. I think if we resent this card back in, I think there's a chance that it could get a 10. And I'm almost tempted to crack this open and send it in to CGC and see what we could get from CGC, because that would undoubtedly, if this card got a 10 CGC or even got a pristine 10 CGC, this card would be worth a lot more than what I paid. I paid $280 for this card. Right now a raw one is about $300, so I feel pretty good about it. But you guys can see the centering is barely off on the back. I mean, it's a little thicker on this side, but guys, the centering on this card is fine. Okay, so the centering is good. More importantly, there's not a single speck on this card. This, whatever is in here, that's just dust that's in there, but this card, I looked it over before I bought it because I was like, if this is a truly insanely clean 9 and I think it was graded unfairly, I'm gonna pick this card up from him. Even though Collecticon is right around the corner and I should wait, this card, you guys can see, is absolutely flawless. I don't understand how this Gengar, this is the Sun and Moon alternate art Gengar, and honestly, the texture on this card is not that great. I'm not the biggest fan of the texture, and I gotta put a different sleeve on that. It feels like a cheap sleeve. It's not the best texture in the world. You know, I don't know why the Sun and Moon hype was so crazy. I'm glad that it's kind of dying down a little bit right now, but the other reason that I picked this card up, aside from the actual quality of the card and the price on the market, is because typically Gengar cards do really well. What we've seen in the past, Gengar cards are always a premium. The Gengar as a Pokemon has a very large audience of people that really solely collect Gengar, and I'm a huge fan of Gengar too myself. From bad CGI artwork to nice hand-drawn artwork, Gengar is just kind of a staple, I think, in the Pokemon world. And it's one of my favorite Gem 1 dark type Pokemon, psychic type Pokemon. It's just absolutely, he's just such a baller ghost Pokemon. But as you guys can see on the front here, the centering was a little more obvious that it was off. So it's not perfect centering, but like the card itself is in perfect condition. So I just think that this card, you know, when he offered me $280, I was like, you know what, I have to take this on this card. It's already been graded for me. The money to get it graded has already been spent. Why not just go ahead and pick this up? And while I'm not a huge fan of Mimikyu being in there, these cards in particular are really hot. And if I wanted to, I can just take this to Collecticon and trade up with it and just say, hey man, this card is absolutely crisp. Look at the back of this. There's not a ding anywhere. This thing could probably get a CGC 10 and go for more in auction than what it would go for as a 9. But this card is pretty sick overall. I think it's a really quality Gengar card. The texture on this is really nice. The only other Sun and Moon alt that I have is the Machamp, and I'll bring that over just to compare. And I do think that I have one other card that I think could very well be a PSA 10, but I really need to just look it over more and be sure there's no flaws with it. I only looked at it briefly. Yeah, I think that could be a 10. That very well could be a 10. Okay, but so now I have two of the alt arts, and I'm gonna get this one. I'm gonna get this guy graded very soon. So I think these are gonna be awesome next to each other. But yeah, these are the only Sun and Moon alt arts that I have at the moment. I really didn't want to jump on the Sun and Moon bandwagon. Honestly, I think the Machamp actually looks better than the Gengar does. There's a lot more going on with this simple, cheap Machamp card that I picked up than this Gengar. But, and I probably, maybe even overspent a little on the Gengar, right? There's so many out there. People can be giving deals on the Gengar. I can probably find another one raw and grade it and get a 10. But you know what? This card is so quality. So what the heck? This card's beautiful. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So that's the Gengar. And then I picked this up for $160. This is the Flash Fire, arguably the best full art in XY. I was not actually a fan of this card. And then I'm going to show you guys this card that I think could possibly get a 10. That I didn't even think twice about getting it graded, but I think it could hit a 10. I want to say, I want to look at the borders of this card. This is not the strongest 9 either. This is not the strongest 9, but anyways, this is a PSA 9. We got a PSA 9 full art Charizard. You just look at the texturization on there. It looks really, really good. Shines really, really nice, especially for the fact that it is the English version. The Japanese variants look really, really good too, but this card still smacks as an English version. And while this card probably is not that rare and could probably be found at Collecticon pretty easily, I did think 160 was a really, really good price point to pay for a PSA 9. That felt really, really, really good. And I think that there could also still easily be money to be made on a 9 that you're picking up for 160, whether that's cash or online. So I think there's this trade factor. And then also, I wanted to have the full trio. I waited to get the Charizard, and I'm glad that I did, because now I have this full trio, and these just look awesome next to each other. We got the Venusaur, we got the Blastoise. It's awesome. It's great. These 3 cards look fantastic next to each other. So this is a really, really cool trio to have. So that was my main reason for buying a Charizard, just so I could kind of have the set, the trio set. They just look really, really nice together. And I would like to get these ones upgraded to 9s as well, but not a massive priority. And then one last card that I think would be a perfect card to send to get graded. I mean, the centering could be a little bit better, but man, this thing is clean. So we got the Salamence GX, and I'm a huge fan of Salamence. I have no idea off the top of my head what the market is like for this card particularly, but this was like a $30 card for me, maybe even less than that, maybe like 25-ish. I'm not entirely sure. Could be even less than that. This comes from Dragon Vault, I do believe. I think it comes from Dragon's Vault, I think. Yeah, 2018 Sun and Moon era. I think so. But regardless of what set this card comes from, so here's the centering on the card on the front. Yeah, you can't really tell all that much from the front of the card, but I really love Salamence, so I really want to get this one graded, and I think the rainbow cards look really ill. So then let's see the back of this. You guys see the back of this card? Not a dot on the back of this card. Super, super clean. I went through all my cards, and there really aren't a lot of cards that I have that I'm like confident about, like I am with this one. But yeah, there's not a dot on this card. It's super, super clean, super crispy. Yeah. So I think this Salamence could potentially get a 10. If anything, I could send it off to CGC and hope for a more lenient grade, because the centering, the only thing that I see is the top centering is a little thick. It's a little thicker than the bottom. So those borders are a little bit different, but other than that, I mean, the card is perfect in my opinion. So hopefully we'll get that sent off. And then I have so many other cards I could get graded, but honestly, what I've realized is I don't think it's worth getting your cards graded unless you think you can hit a really high grade on those cards. Even with a 9, it can be devastating. A perfect example is this Gengar. If you bought the Gengar in a raw and you got it for, let's just say, even if you got it for 280, like I did, even though this is already graded, let's say you bought it for 280, you got it raw. Then you got it graded. It came back as a 9. You know, you thought it was a really strong card, but it got a 9. Still, you're not going to be able to get much on that card. So you really needed this card in a 10. I think it's an $800 card, maybe a $700 card. So, and that's the reason why I kind of jumped at it, because this card has so much potential and it could possibly be cracked and sent back out, and hopefully we get a better grade. But honestly, even as a 9, I'm really, really happy with this card. People are really big into buying 9s because they're just right. They're a nice little price range as opposed to the 10s. The 10s are kind of ridiculous and they command those insane premiums. There's no way that you could get me to pay $800, $700 for a PSA 10 Gengar. There's just no way. This card is too new, it's too fresh, and there's plenty of them out there still. So I think those prices are kind of crazy. But in my head, I'm like, okay, it's already graded. It's a super strong 9. 280 bucks, that's what the market is now. The market could come down a little bit. This card could become a $200 card raw, and that would really hurt me investing in a 9. But right now, last month, this card was selling for $450, $460, almost $500 in a 9. So there were 9s that were going for big premiums. Now, of course, last month and the month prior, everyone was talking about Sun and Moon. So it makes sense that people would want to go after this card, go after the Latios, go after any of those alt arts and pay those massive premiums. It was the FOMO, it was the fad, it was the bubble, whatever you want to call it. And I do think the Latios, I think those cards are going to get way cheaper because there's got to be a lot of them out there. So guys, I think it's just a waiting game with the market right now, and I'm going to do an additional video on that. I wanted to keep this one short. I know I always say that, but really I'm cutting this video off before 20 minutes. I just wanted to say that it's an exciting time to be a collector. We're going to see prices coming down. I really believe that. We're going to see prices coming down. People, you can get, with I got lucky with Obsidian Flames the other night. I got the Charizard. But for the most part, people are able to finish this set out in like a couple products, a couple booster boxes, a booster box and some ETBs, and some sleeves. These are pretty easy sets to kind of figure out. And that is making it more enjoyable to enjoy Modern. But I just think that people are going to be taking a step back from the hobby. I don't know. I'm going to find out at CollectCon if people are really holding on to their cards to get full price, to get market price, or will there be people kind of just liquidating stuff? So it's going to be interesting because I'll also get to see the side of it. From the CollectCon standpoint, from people to people, face to face, doing deals, trying to get cash. It's gonna be crazy. There's gonna be a lot of cash exchange. There's gonna be a lot of cards traded. So I'm gonna be looking and kind of keeping my eyes open and seeing what kind of deals people are making, what people are selling stuff for. I have no idea how I'm gonna go about like recording myself or recording other people at CollectCon. It's going to be a lot, and I'm nervous and I have some anxiety because I've never done this before. It's going to be a lot of people. I'm probably going to go with a briefcase full of stuff, which is going to be really heavy, so it's not going to be ideal for me. But I think it's important that I go the first day with everything that I've got and give it my best shot. I think I'm going to end up just piling on like as much stuff as I can into my briefcase and just taking as much stuff with me as possible. I think I'm going to end up taking my sealed stuff. Anyways, getting off topic, I just think the market's going to cool down a bit, and I think that prices probably for the next couple months are going to cool down until December. In December, we're going to have Christmas around the corner. That's when I think prices for things are going to start creeping back up because people are going to be buying things, for their family, their friends, their kids. This generation right now is heavily influenced by YouTube and, people, myself included, that are saying you should buy this now and you should get this product now and, don't miss out on this. And I think a lot of those people are going to be, asking mom and dad, hey, I really want this really nice high-end card. That's when you're going to see, I feel like, a nice little uptick in sales and value for the market. And I think it's just going to chill out again until something big comes out. And 151 could be the proponent that creates this massive explosion in the hobby again. We'll find out. We'll find out here shortly. But I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to keep this one short. And have a great night, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry I didn't have a bigger submission to talk about. I really am taking my time because it's a lot of money to submit cards. So I'm just taking it a little at a time. This was fully insured too, so if anybody's wondering like why did you pay $95, there's different tiers for grading, and then you can get your stuff insured, which I wanted. But overall, I'm still really happy. There's still appreciation on this card. And, because I went to pick up this card, I got the Gengar. And the more I look at this Gengar, the more I love this Gengar with the yellow and the eyes lighting up. Like, I'm starting to really, really love this card. So I'm really happy I picked that up. And then, honestly, I've wanted this guy for a minute now. But I'm so glad I didn't accept any offers on eBay, because I've been watching a bunch of these and people have been sending me offers, and I've been sending them 180 offers back to back to back, which I still would have paid $200 after taxes for this card. And I ended up getting this card for $160. So I'm really, really happy about it right now. Like, this is a 9. We're not talking about an 8. We're talking about a 9 that I picked up for, midway in the hundreds. I'm really, really happy right now. So 160 for this Charizard and a 9, and it kind of starts a new era of me kind of collecting Charizard cards that are much better grades than I've collected in the past. I will say it's not the strongest 9. The print quality, I guess, of this era is not the best. We've got damage here, we've got a ding over here, we've got a ding down here. I don't know if you guys can see that. And we've got a little whitening right there, but like, other than that, like, I really don't know how this card got a 9, to be honest. Like, this was one of those cards that I feel like was more of an 8. And it's definitely off center, but still a super high quality card, so I'll take it. A 9 is a 9. So yeah, I think I got a pretty good deal on those, and honestly, both of those are really nice cards to add to my collection. The Charizard and Gengar, they're both kind of staple Pokemon. But anyways, I gotta let you guys go. Peace! Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about the submission. Let me know if it's totally common to get that Umbreon back in a 10, or if I should be rejoicing. Because honestly, I feel so lucky to have gotten that card in a 10. I feel like I easily could have gotten a 9 on that card. But there are so many of those in 10s. Maybe they're just like handing out 10s for the Umbreon. Anyways, and also there's been some talk about PSA, about getting damaged cards back. I have not had that experience. My card's totally fine. The corners and everything are fine. Same with my buddy's card that he sent in and sold to me. It's totally fine. These cards look mint in the slab, so I haven't had any issues with PSA yet. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna always submit to PSA. I think CGC has some really cool stuff to offer. I think it has really good pricing. I'm just saying I have a good experience so far with PSA for my first time, and I'll definitely be doing it again. So anyways, peace out, guys.